check 1, 2. I'm kidding. My name is Tam, and this is my performance review of the PUMA Clyde All Pro. I've played basketball in these for roughly 15 hours on an indoor hardwood court, and they were awesome. Starting things out with sizing, with my ideal size being a US 8.5 or a European size 42 extra wide or 4E. Since extra wide sizes are pretty hard to come by, I always go with a size US 9 with all of my hoop shoes. And these PUMA Clyde All Pro in a US size 9 fit, definitely true to size. And when I say true to size, that typically means, oh, basketball comes by. Let's pass it back. Here you go. Okay, now back to fitting. Whenever I personally say true to size, I mean that the overall fitting lengthwise and the snugness or tightness, or just the overall volume of the inner space of the sneakers, is pretty consistent with other US size 9 or European size 42.5 of the basketball sneakers that I've played in. So for the PUMA Clyde All Pro, the fitting is definitely true to size and even accommodating for wide footers like myself if you go up that half size. So the fit can be accommodating to pretty much a variety of foot shapes, including people with wide feet and high insteps like myself, is thanks to the traditional fully detached tongue, so that the upper can wrap around pretty much any foot shape. Speaking of the tongue, it is thick and nicely padded with a lot of foam padding along with a nice and breathable fabric material. The tongue also has a questionable exposed foam part at the bottom of the tongue where you cannot really see it. On top of the tongue, there is a typical lace holding loop to make sure that your detached tongue doesn't shift left to right when you lace them up and play basketball. So the upper construction is pretty traditional so far until you see the eyelets. There are 6 pairs of eyelets, and the first 5 pairs of eyelets are nothing traditional at all. They're made of some bunches of teeny tiny little strings stitched onto the upper itself, and it's pretty tricky to relace the shoelaces through the eyelets. I'm not sure what's the performance benefits of this design. I would rather have just traditional hole punched holes like the upper or the top eyelets, but I guess I can't really fault them for trying something new, but it kind of works. Moving on to the main component of the upper, which is the Matrix Evo material made in France. And according to the little tag that comes with the sneakers, it is a woven upper that is light while being super supportive thanks to the carbon fiber strings that is woven into the actual material itself. Here's a close-up look of the upper material with the carbon fiber strings that you can see here being woven or knitted directly into the upper material to provide support. In hand, it feels really nice and minimalistic, definitely not plasticky, and reminds me a lot of the Jacquard upper that was featured on the Adidas Deliver 2 or the Brand Black's original red metal. So overall, really nice and thin, flexible but not stretchy, so you don't have to worry about support. And this Matrix Evo material wraps around the entire structure of the upper, even over the heel/ankle piece right here. At this angle, you can actually see how thin the Matrix Evo material is, almost as thin as like a cardstock paper material, and really thin, no padding on the inner side at all. But speaking of the inner side, there is a microfiber like lining material that's pretty nice. I'm not sure if it's microfiber, but it's not really listed on Puma's website or any product description at all, but it's kind of like that material where you clean your glasses or camera lenses with. And this microfiber like material should prevent your sock from rubbing too vigorously against the Matrix Evo material. And there are cut out pieces of that lining material even underneath the toe box area to allow for good ventilation. And my favorite visual element of the upper has got to be the Puma foam strip, which is made out of a stiff synthetic material that should definitely provide additional lateral support and containment for lateral movements. You can see how thin the synthetic material is. I sincerely wish that it's actual leather, but I won't complain too much because I love the aesthetics and it serves a functional purpose as well. And the heel cup area is nicely padded with a lot of foam padding, nice lining material. It's kind of like a mesh jersey-like material, and the nice ergonomic sculpting that cups your heel and hooks your Achilles very, very nicely and securely. The highest part of your heel cup right behind your Achilles thankfully does not dig into your Achilles or create any discomfort at all because it's nicely lined and padded from the inside onto the outside part, and it's quite bendable. Since we're looking at the heel and the back part of the shoe, it features a nice suede patch with the Puma logo embroidered onto it, and the suede is pretty nice and soft and feels luxurious in hand to the touch, but I'm not sure if it's even real suede. I hope that it is, but I like how it looks. And the next support feature is this little teeny tiny outrigger piece right here. It is barely there. And the only reason why I think that they make it so minimal is that it doesn't take away from the casual appeal or aesthetic of the shoe, because the midsole itself and the footbed is pretty narrow. As you can see right here, it barely protrudes outside of the upper, or you can barely see the midsole and the outsole, including the outrigger from the toe down view at all. It looks very much like a lifestyle PUMA Clyde, but for basketball, I really wish that the base, or at least the forefoot part, is a little bit wider, even though it's nice and flat and kind of stable, but it's not as stable as wide as I prefer personally. Now, touching base real quick on the weight of the sneakers, feels pretty light in hand and on feet. And with the majority of my basketball sneakers in the US size 9 weighing from 13 to 15 ounces, these weighed less than 13 ounces, which is definitely on the lighter side. And in metric measurement, it is 367 grams, which is again lighter than most of my sneakers, ranging from 370 grams to around 430 grams. And here's a quick bonus comparison to the PUMA Clyde All Pro Kuzma Low, with the leather overlays weighing quite a bit more than the regular PUMA Clyde All Pro that I'm testing on. So this version weighs 14.25 ounces, or in metric measurement, that is 405 grams. To quickly summarize the overall fit and support, it is nice and secure, feels very much like a Kobe 9 EM or even a Kobe 11. And the only downside to that for me as a wide footer is the footbed, or the midsole, is quite slim. But for the majority of hoopers who have normal to narrow width feet, you'll definitely enjoy the minimalistic yet supportive feel on feet. Now let's talk about traction. The forefoot traction pattern resembles the parquet floor of the TD Garden, home of the Boston Celtics, and I only know this because I'm a Celtics fan, plus a nice pivot point right at the ball of your foot. In hand to the touch, the rubber compound feels really nice and tack. It feels it's gonna grip the floor very, very well just by touching it. The thickness of the groove is decent and the firmness is pretty good, so durability should not be a major concern or a big issue for anybody. And if I can be wishful and hopeful in my thinking, I would love for the pattern to come up a little bit more on both the medial and lateral side so that the coverage is a little bit wider. Ooh, that traction sounds so nice, so grippy, so tacky, and it's like music to my ear. I'm not sure about other hoopers, but for me, the squeaking traction sound is my second favorite sound on the basketball court, just after the swish sound that the basketball net makes when you hit a smooth jump shot. Sorry, I got off topic. So traction performance is phenomenal. You stop on a dime, I was able to do all my moves with ease and confidence. I'm sure that if you like to play tight defense, you'll love the traction. If you're shifty, you'll love the traction. If you like playing basketball, you'll love the traction of the PUMA Clyde All Pro, period. Even on dusty court condition that I played on for, I think, 2 or 3 hoop sessions that I played in these, I didn't even need to wipe. I did wipe just to get a better or a stronger bite out of the traction, but I technically didn't need to. Here's a quick close-up look of the traction after my most recent hoop session that I played in them. So as you can see, there was quite an amount of dust being stuck onto the outsole itself, but the traction still performed really well. I was able to get good grips, and the dirt or the dust can be wiped off pretty easily. Now let's talk about the cushion setup. The PUMA Clyde All Pro features a full-length Pro Foam Plus with a puck or an oval-shaped piece of Pebax or Pebax, P-E-B-A-X thingy at the heel, and the Pro Foam Plus is pretty much uncaged both on the lateral and the medial side, and going from the midfoot all the way to the heel. And just by pressing on the midsole itself, I could feel how squishy and nice and bouncy the Pro Foam Plus compound is. I personally think that it's quite comparable to Adidas Light Strike Foam, and almost as good or as bouncy, as squishy as Nike's React. And here at the bottom of the heel, you can see the puck or the oval shaped piece of Pebax material. Visually looks so similar to Adidas Boost, if not identical. And if you press your finger onto that material itself, you can see how much more squishy, how much bouncier that material is in comparison to the Pro Foam Plus. Now the midsole might look quite thick, but the actual insole or the footbed rests on that second indented line right there marked on the Pro Foam Plus midsole, and that structure is allowed for 2 important things. First is the midsole coming up on the side of your foot provide additional containment and support for lateral movements, and secondly, still providing great amount of court feel because of the midsole not being too high up. And that's exactly how I felt whenever I laced these up for my hoop sessions. Really minimalistic, great amount of court feel, but still very comfortable and good amount of impact protection, especially on the heel. And as usual, I like to test out how good the impact protection of a cushion setup is by trying to go up for a rebound and then jump right back up for the second jump to do a close to the basket second chance lay-in. And these PUMA Clyde All Pros cushion setup is Nice. Not amazing, not phenomenal, not mind-blowing, just nice. And aside from the need of good impact protection from a cushion setup for me to go up for rebounds or a super rare block attempt, I typically enjoy a cushion setup that has a little bit of bounciness or energy return characteristic to it, which the PUMA Clyde All Pros cushion setup does not quite have that. It is nice and comfortable, and a little bit bouncy in the heel, but in the forefoot, it's pretty minimal, if not non-existent as far as cushion goes. It is quite comparable to Under Armour and Beat 1 or the Nike Kyrie 4, which both have pretty good heel cushion, but pretty much no forefoot cushion. The retail price for the PUMA Clyde All Pro is $130 US, which is quite reasonable for the reliable performance and pretty good aesthetics for the colorway that I have and the Kuzma low that I showed earlier. These will stay in my basketball shoe rotation for now, and I'm excited for what PUMA has to offer in the near future. I hope that this performance review video has been helpful, informative, and enjoyable for you. Thank you for watching, and bye.